morning, everyone, and welcome to the Renew podcast. I am Kristen Andre, and I'm here again with my trusty sidekick, the marvelous Miss Mendoza. And this month, we are talking about renewing your mindset, which is all the woo-woo stuff that we don't get into as much, but we figured as we're renewing this year, it's time to start really focusing on that. So today, I'm excited about this because this actually is one of the things I love to talk about. So today's topic is controlling the controllables.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's stuff we can control.
It's stuff we can control.
So you like talking about it?
I love talking about this. So yeah, maybe it's my control freak nature.
I love
I'm not
it.
sure.
Me too.
But
it's fine.
All right, so here's the deal. And I talk about this a ton with my clients. And honestly, it's starting to permeate into my parenting a lot more now because in the past, not as much today, but in the past, I perhaps might have been labeled a little bit of a control freak. Like maybe still am. I don't know. I like to control things, right?
The first key is acceptance.
Acceptance. Step one. Step one.
Yeah.
I've admitted I have a problem.
Yeah.
No, but what's funny is even those of us that like to control things, there are certain things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
And that if I look back over my life, I spent so much time worrying and obsessing and kind of stressing myself out over things that I had zero control over.
Yeah.
Like zero.
Yeah, I've been there.
You've been there? You've got this little grin. All right, so what
there.
types of things are you doing that with? Because I find that I do it a lot, and I find that I see other people doing it too. So I try to redirect clients. I try to redirect my daughters with doing that. But I think it's easier to see it in other people than it is to see it in ourselves.
Agree, yes. And until you've kind of just been there and realized that we really have less control over more than we think.
It's true. I mean, it is because the trying to control things we try, but a lot of times we're trying to control things that we really can't.
Yeah.
But let's talk about controlling the controllables and what I mean by that for a minute, because we just stress ourselves out. Like let's take 2020. Let's face it, 2020. I mean, it sucks for most people.
Yeah.
It's not been a fun year.
Yeah.
Despite the birthday month, birthday year, whatever we're celebrating, it's been a rough year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'll see so many people just get stuck there when if we really take a step back, there is nothing they can do. So you can whine and complain. I almost said the B word here. We might lose our rating. You can complain, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do anything about it.
Right.
So why complain?
Yeah. Yeah. The closer that we get toward the end of the year, right? There's a lot riding on the end of this year.
Now, you do realize December 31st is not we're done.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Right. And I feel like sometimes as humans, we compartmentalize that though, right? Because we say, we're like, all I got to do is survive until December 31st and get a new year.
Yep.
There's a lot that's going to happen. There's all sorts of predictions. Everybody's curious. It's going to get cold. Are we going to see COVID pop back up when we're not even exactly done with it yet? And you can make a plan, but you have to understand that plan has to be fluid, and you have to accept the fact that you're not going to be able to control it.
And that's where I feel like we've got an opportunity to control the controllables.
Yeah.
But the first way to do that is to figure out what it is that is actually controllable, and to understand the fact it's really not all that freaking much.
Yeah,
I mean, if we really think about it, we can control our reactions to things. We can't always control the things. But that's the first thing we need to look at is what is our reaction.
Yeah.
Like I get ticked off pretty easy at a lot of things, but I try to give myself a time limit. And I'll tell my clients that too. They'll get mad. Even in business, they'll get mad that they didn't close a deal or something like that. I'm like, all right, you can be pissed off for the next hour, but after an hour, and sometimes it's not, that's if it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes like 5 minutes, you got 5 minutes to be as mad as you want to be. And then we have got to shove that in our little box and keep moving on. Because if not, we get stuck and we ruminate in that same spot.
Yeah.
And it keeps us from taking action in another direction.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people do this.
Yeah. Well, and when you were saying figuring out what to control, something that came to my mind was when people ask when we're going to have children.
Yes.
And I typically respond with, I'm not ready yet. And their response is usually, well, if you wait until you're ready, you're never going to have kids.
Yeah.
And
my response would be, it's not your freaking kids.
Number one. Number two, I can be better ready. I know that, I'm not going to have all the knowledge.
Girl, you're never going to be better ready for those little suckers. They are.
But I think I can. I have things in my mind that need to happen prior. There are things that I feel like I can be better ready for. And part of that's like, I need like 3 more years to just do what Whitney wants to do whenever she wants to do it.
Yes, because the Whitney, what she wants to do goes away.
Yeah, it does.
But you know, but that's another thing too. So you can't control when you have kids. You really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, we like to think we can, but we can't.
Okay.
You can influence it. But some people aren't able to. Some people, you know,
just
like me,
like that.
My ex-husband would sneeze and I'd get pregnant. I mean, it was just easier. But it, you know, you can't control all the things.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that example, it's other people trying to control you.
Yeah.
It's none of
That's
their
true. That's
business
true.
when you want to have kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like mind your own business.
Yeah.
Which we say to our kids all the time, but it's, you know, and other people.
Yeah. And I feel like we can really view, again, ramping up to the end of the year in that lens of do what you can do to be best prepared for the outcome that you cannot plan for.
Correct.
You know, like
yes.
Like me wearing a mask and washing my hands and being 6 feet away from someone doesn't necessarily prevent COVID, but it does better my chances of not
we can
getting it.
Right. We can influence things, but not control it.
Yes.
And that's what we need to remember is part of controlling the controllables is identifying what is actually controllable. If it's not, everything you do that just keeps you stuck there or gets you ticked off or whatever is, and this is what I want you guys to hear, it is a conscious choice. Yeah. If you're going to stay and be ticked off, and I've done this, I've spent way too much time in the negative space before where it was a conscious choice for me to stay there. I wouldn't admit it at the time.
Yeah.
But it totally was.
Yeah. So I even hear myself talking about more about influencing and less about control. So what can we control?
So way less than we think.
Yeah.
Way less than we think. Okay, so here's what I would say personally, professionally, financially, what it is. You've got to first ask yourself, what can I do right now to influence this thing, whatever it is. With the pandemic, with people being sick, I can't influence if people are ticked off. And let's take politics right now, because we're going to do an episode in another month about being kind, because y'all need to listen while during election season.
Yes, we do.
But we can't control how other people act. Some people are just going to be tools, and we just have to, you know, we can get ticked off about it. You know, I've said this before. I hide so many people on my social media. Like half my friends, y'all know who you are. Y'all's posts are hidden because I just can't deal with you.
Yeah,
because I get to control what I see, and I get to control, you know, it's like we talked about a diet before. A diet's not just food. It's what you put into your mind. It's what you put in your body. It's how you exercise. It's everything. Yeah. So you get to control what you put into it. Yeah. So I think if you're really sitting there and you're negative all the time, and crappy things happen to all of us, but we don't have to live there.
I kind of think the same thing with people, right? Like we're constantly on social media, but also you can control the people you're around. Even if you're related to them, you can limit your time, right? Yes. Like there have been people in my family where I just know I'm going to be there for an hour.
I call them small dose people. Some of the people in my world are small dose people. I need them in very small doses, sometimes with extra people around, just so we can, you know, kind of cushion the blow. But you make a choice. You can do that.
Yeah.
You really can.
100%.
So there's 5 things that I have that I think we do that hold ourselves back when it comes to controlling the controllable. We can't skip to number 2.
Okay, number 1 first.
So number 1 first, and you just brought this up without even doing this, is sometimes we try to wait until the timing is right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is, I'm not telling you when to have kids because I don't even know. I will loan you one of mine if you would like to try it out. Yeah. So, but sometimes we're holding ourselves back and not controlling the controllables because we're trying to wait for the perfect timing. And I typically say, you know, you'll hear it like whether it's kids, whether it's starting a business. I hear it a lot with starting a business. I'm not ready to launch. Okay. Well, I mean, control what you can. Maybe if you're not ready to launch fully, do a side hustle and build that up as you're working your job. But figure out if the timing is not right, figure out what you can do to take a step. Mm-hmm. Because when timing's off, it doesn't mean you have to halt. You can still take steps in that direction. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Yeah, with kids, I think it has to be all or nothing. You can't be kind of pregnant. Yeah, yeah. So you kind of have to be all in. But, you know, if you're trying to save enough money, if you're trying to launch a business, if you've got some goal that you're trying to reach for, it's really trying to figure out, am I holding myself back because I'm trying to control too much of that.
Okay. So in point 1, kind of how I interpret controlling the controllables. So correct me if I'm wrong there. There being a better time. So like, for example, before we started our business, Isaac and I sat down and said, okay, what's the minimum cash that we have to have coming in to live? Like, got to make the house payment, cell phone payment, food. What is that minimum? Instead of just, because you can go opposite and just go, I have a business idea and I'm going to stop and then jump off and just quit my job without like any preparation.
Yep.
I feel like that's a better prepared.
I've seen it work both ways. And so here's part of the controlling the controllables is what's your risk tolerance.
Ooh, okay.
So everybody is different. You know, you guys know I have a finance background. I have some people who are so risk averse where they're like, if I don't have $100,000 in the bank, I'm not, that's them. That's okay. Because for them, that helps. That's what they have control over.
That's good. Okay, good.
Some people are diving off and I'll build the chute on the way down.
Can't do it.
And but everybody's different. I'm somewhere in the middle. You know, I would want a cushion, but I also would want to make sure I'm not going to, with kids, I'm not going to quit my job unless I know I'm paying bills or I got some money stashed away. So it's controlling what you can. Like everybody knows their risk tolerance and there's no right or wrong. Again, some people are hugely risk averse. Some people are not. It depends. You know, the biggest risk takers, do they build bigger businesses quicker? Probably, but they also have the massive ups and downs. You know, they may have built a $1 million business, then hit bankruptcy the next year, then build another one. And we see that all the time. Some people wouldn't be able to stomach that. Both are good. Both are right. It's just what's controllable for you. And you can control like your reaction. Like if you're the type of person who's risk averse and you're like, oh my gosh, if I don't have $10,000 in the bank every single, month as a cushion, I'm going to cry. Then, control that.
So it's like controlling your controllables.
Yeah, and that's where it's different is everybody is going to look at it differently. Now, one thing I'll say with the risk averse, and that gets to point number 2, is a lot of times what we do to hold people back is we assume we're the doomsday scenario. We assume things are going to turn out poorly. So part of figuring out how you can move forward and controlling what you can control is figuring out, all right, why am I thinking this is going to be negative? What can I influence in that? Some people are just doomsday people. Yeah. They just poke holes and everything.
Yeah.
And you just got to think through those things first. Now, the hole pokers aren't bad. I mean, I do business strategy. So my job with a lot of clients is what could go wrong.
Yeah.
Let's talk through all the scenarios that can go wrong. So we're addressing them before they even happen. So if they come up, we know. But you can't just assume that things are going to be horrific.
Yeah.
We've got some doomsday people out there. Yeah.
Ooh, number 3 is good too.
So number 3 is one of my big ones. And here's what's interesting on this one. Guilty of this all the time. And I have one of my children who I will not name, but you know who you are, that is really bad about this. So number 3 of the things that hold us back and keep us from controlling the controllables is you indulge in negative self-talk. And so all these points, you guys, if you're reading, we're taking it from the You're Not For Everyone book. So we'll post the link on that, and I'll give you some hints to the pages so you can look it up. But negative self-talk. Like I've got one of my children who literally will look at me and go, just stop with your positive self-talk. Just stop trying to motivate me. And I'm like, okay, you're terrible and you're going to fail miserably. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
But so many times we just get stuck. We talk ourselves out of anything. And this is 1 million, zillion, gabillion % controllable is what we say to ourselves. We can't always control what other people say to us. We can for sure control what we say to ourselves. Yeah. So why do you think people do this? Like, do you do that? Do you find yourself like negative self-talky?
Sometimes I've gotten better in recent years about stopping myself when I hear that. Because a lot of time, a thought will come into your head and you're already thinking it before you realize you're thinking it, and you have to kind of gather yourself.
Yeah.
When you said that, part of what came to my mind was what you hear people say of the fear of success.
Yep.
It's almost trying to view it in the best way possible, but then kind of going back to preparing, well, what if this doesn't happen? Well, what if I can't? What if? So it's it comes in the form of a lot of what ifs because you are grading yourself and what you think you can do. But very similar to we're in control of the less than we think.
Yep.
We're also capable of more than we think.
Way more than we think. Yeah. That's a good point because, a lot of our self-talk comes when we're trying to sometimes it's when we're trying to talk ourselves out of something big, but a lot of times it's something minor. Mm-hmm. We do this all the time. You're like, oh, I look fat. I do this. I do. And all these things are, because I had somebody push back on me one time because, I'm a girl. We do this. We are like, oh, this makes me look fat. And you don't realize how much as women we say that until I had somebody push back on me one time because I have 3 daughters and they're like, every time you're saying that to yourself out loud, I want you to switch it and pretend like you're saying it directly to your daughter because she's hearing it. So it's kind of the same thing. Wow. And I'm like, ouch. That like hits you like, because I'd be like, I look, and I would ask them, do I look fat in these pants? And, the friend was telling me like, just pretend like every time you ask your kids if you look fat in your pants, you're telling them you look fat in those pants.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, crap, because you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And it's all these things. We wouldn't tolerate it to kids. And that's the example I used in the book is if you were teaching your kids to ride a bike and, how little kids learn to ride a bike and you're running behind them and you're holding on, you're like, you can do it. And you're cheering for them, right? So what if the grouchy old neighbor across the street, while you're trying to push your kid on the bike and trying to teach him and you're cheering him on, the old neighbor is sitting there going, you're never going to do that. You're fat. You're a loser. You're never going to learn to ride a bike. You would smack the crud out of him, right?
Yeah.
But we do the same thing to ourselves. We're trying to learn to ride a bike, and we're the crotchety old neighbor across the street going, you're never going to make this. You're never going to do it.
Yeah.
So my thought with negative self-talk is if we wouldn't allow it to happen to kids, if we wouldn't allow somebody to say something like to our kids or our friends, why do we do it to ourselves?
Yeah, that's good.
It's the age-old question. I don't know. I haven't solved it. I just think we need to be aware. And that's one of the hugest controllables is what we're telling ourselves.
Do you feel like that makes us feel like we are big in the head or talking ourselves up? If we imagine you went to the mirror and you were like, I look good
like
today.
The affirmations from from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember those.
It's a little frou-frou.
It's a little before you. It's a little frou-frou. And I think there's a way to do it. I'm not saying you got to go and some people do that. They do the mirror affirmations. And I had a coach tell me that one time, like, I want you to do these mirror affirmations. And I was cracking up. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and look in the mirror and go, your eyes look good. Your hair looks good. It's just not me.
Yeah. I'm the same.
So if it's not you, that's cool. But it doesn't mean you need to sit there and say horrible things about yourself.
Bad things. Yeah.
It's part of it is, like you said at the beginning, admitting we have a problem, catching ourselves going, okay, I probably really should not be as mean to myself because we would never do it to our friends.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do it to our kids. So, that's my point is with the negative self-talk is catch yourself. Just catch yourself when you're doing it. If you're like, oh, I can't do this. I'm never going to do this. Because we are far more capable. Like I've started, the group I'm in that Build Your Life Resume that Jesse Itzler does and all that. Like the people in this group, the Spartan races and the ultra endurance like the stuff they put their bodies through. I'm sitting here going, holy cow.
Yeah.
And all the podcasts and the speakers that we've had through this group, everybody's sitting here going, man, they put their bodies through this crazy stuff, but every one of them is like, I never at the beginning thought I could do it, but you just do it.
Yeah.
And your body handles way more. We're the ones that hold our bodies back. It's not really the body itself. It's designed pretty well.
You know what I do? I go, hush yourself, Whitney. Yes, you can do it.
See, you have a little pot. That's what we need, a little voice. Maybe that's it. Maybe to squash the negative self-talk, you need a cute little voice or an accent. I'm going with Dolly.
I do that.
Dolly is my spirit animal,
go.
as you know. It's for those of you guys who have heard, Dolly Parton is my spirit animal.
She'd be
Love Dolly.
Kristen, honey, you got this.
We got to find like a clip with her, like positive self-talk. We just play it on a loop.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be the key is figuring out what we can do.
Yeah.
Now, this is the same thing. So the next step, number 4, is sometimes, we need to talk positive to ourselves, and that's number 3. But number 4 is a lot of times we're not controlling the controllables because we're listening to the naysayers. There are always going to be the Susans, the Beckys. What's the big name right now? Karen, the Karens. There's always going to be the Karen. And I feel so bad because I have some friends named Karen, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. But there's always going to be the Karens out there
That's true.
that are just telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're never going to make it. Quit listening to them. If they are in your circle or your family, they are not your people. Get them out of your sphere of influence. Because if you're going to control the controllables, the naysayers are 100% controllable. Boot them the heck out, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Don't you think? I think we listen to them far more than we should, though.
Yeah, we do.
But it's, I don't know. I mean, they're just some people, they're hard to get rid of sometimes.
Yeah. Well, because if they're in your circle, that probably means they're there somehow, some way, for a reason. Like somehow you came across a friendship or, again, maybe family. But, we grow and adapt and we change.
Yep.
And even if you've been a negative person and you're trying to work on that yourself, then you can't hang around other negative people. It's like me around chocolate. If someone else has chocolate, I'm going to eat the chocolate.
I don't think chocolate is negative, though.
No,
I feel like chocolate
positive.
is okay. Yes.
Chocolate's very positive.
Well, yeah. I mean, the chocolate is positive. I agree with that. I like dark chocolate. But with the naysayers and with the negative people, there's a difference because like chocolate makes you feel good. Chocolate does good things to you.
Yeah,
but the naysayers are they're draining you. And I say this all the time is if they're draining your energy, they don't need to be part of your world. And it's easier said than done to get them out. But, we may not always be able to control. Our boss may be a naysayer. Our coworkers may be naysayers. But we do have control over what we listen to from them and what we take to heart from them. You can be negative all day long. That doesn't mean don't give your negativity to me. Yeah. So as long as you're not listening to what the naysayers are saying, then that's not that big of a deal. Like it's sometimes, and I'll give you an example. Sometimes we just get the feeling that somebody's like, they don't like me or they're mad at me or I'm not sure what I did. And think about how much wasted energy you've spent over the years trying to figure out why somebody's mad at you. Yeah. Does it matter why they're mad at you? I mean, unless there's somebody really close. And if it matters, go ask them. Yeah. Say, why are you mad? Yep. And if they're mad, like this is a running joke with my daughter. Hopefully she's not listening. Is she watching? She better not be what you're supposed to be in school. We can see you watching. Goodness. So all right, well, then I'm going to say this here.
How does that go in school? My mom's on TV.
How's school going? Mom's on TV. So, we can see you. But here's one of the things I'll say. Like when we're looking at kind of the naysayers and the negative, you can ask people what's wrong with them. Like if you think they're mad or whatever. And that's the joke with us is because she's inherited her mom's RBF a little bit. She's way sweeter than me, for sure. But she's got a little bit of the RBF. So I always like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she's like, nothing's wrong. Quit asking me what's wrong. But it's one of those things where if you really think something is wrong or somebody's aggravated, ask them. Yeah. They will tell you. I mean, she very quickly tells me nothing's wrong and to leave her alone and to quit asking. But if someone were aggravated with you, ask them.
Ours is why you salty.
I like that. I like that. Salt, since it's my nickname, Salt. Yeah. But it's, no, I'm Pep. So I think if you can start not feeding into the negatives, naysayers, but just managing them, controlling them. That's 100% controllable.
Well, and that goes back to realizing your power in this, right? Like there are some people you just know when you get around them, they're going to be negative. Like you just know it, and you don't. In most cases, you don't have to be around that person because
and if you have to, cushion them. Get other people that also know, because we all know who our negative friends are. Yeah. We all have them. I mean, we do. Well, I'm not going to name them, but we have them.
When I was younger, I would build myself up like it's going to be okay. I'm not going to let them infect me, and you would still walk away with this like, you're just tired, and you use the perfect word, drained, when you. But that's the thing is the controllable piece in that with the naysayers is that we don't have to listen to them. It's just like the positive people. If somebody's giving you advice or giving you feedback, their feedback and advice is just feedback and advice. Yep. It's not saying you have to take it. It's not saying you have to listen. Because I used to get aggravated. Sometimes people would give me feedback on something. I wouldn't necessarily agree with it. And one of my mentors one time was like, why are you getting bent out of shape? It's feedback. Don't take it. Yeah. If you don't want to take their feedback, don't take it. Yeah. Listen to them, hear them, nod, smile, but then go do your own thing. Yeah. So if somebody's trying to tell you how to do a project, unless it's your boss, trying to tell you how to do a project or how to write your book or how to live your life or when to have kids,
take it in.
Yeah.
And I've started saying that. I'm like, well, thanks for sharing. Sorry you feel that way. I mean, I just don't, you don't have to absorb whatever it is they do. So from a naysayer stuff, if they want to unload their crud on you, let them unload it, but you don't have to pack it up and take it home with you.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Leave it right there.
Amen to that.
Right there. All right. Number 5, Miss Whitney. Mia, you need to be going to school now.
We have Josh, Tony, Richard, Jane, and Wendy, and a couple other people.
Nice. All right.
Did Mia go back to class?
Did Mia go back to class? Is she in trouble now? So she popped up. She is between class. I don't know. I don't have her schedule pulled up. So she does have, between
breaks.
Virtual learning.
Yeah.
She does have,
Nice.
We're still virtual. So there's no control of the naysayers there because I've been naysaying all day long. We've got another month until my kids get back to school in person. I will we may be having champagne that morning on the show. I mean, it just will be that happy.
Done.
There's no controllables to control in the virtual learning situation, I have learned. So I can't control the amount of wine I drink to help get through virtual learning. But even I have cut down that. All right. So number
That says, thanks for sharing.
Chantal, I love her.
Oh, Mia
Awesome.
did. She said
we
she's
love
in
this.
between
All right,
classes.
so
at the
my
moment.
daughter has pointed
Nice.
out on our Facebook comment that she is between classes, so thank you. Now, I should say she is my rule follower out of my kids.
That's
So
awesome.
I will admit that she probably would not be, she would not be breaking a rule and watching. So thanks for tuning in, sweet
That's
pea.
awesome.
Anyway, all right, so number 5. Here is one of the things, and this is a big one, and this is how to help control the controllables. Is one of the things we're guilty of, a lot of us, is trying to do everything by ourselves, all alone. So one of the things we can control, and this is hard, and it's very hard it's hard for younger people, it's hard for people newer in business, it's hard for people still trying to prove themselves, is we don't ask for help. So we try to do it all alone.
Yeah.
So what I want people to think through is, one of the things that's 100% controllable is asking for help when you need it or when you don't understand something. I mean, I feel like probably my 20s and most of my 30s, I was trying to kind of muddle my way through things because I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't ask as much. I would just kind of, it's that fake it till you make it mentality.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can serve us well, but a lot of times it's, it's holding us back for sure.
Yeah. One way that you've helped me overcome this is looking at it like, okay, you've got this thing over here that you can do, but you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
This is the thing over here that you should be doing.
Yep.
So you need to delegate
Yeah.
this piece so that you have the time to go do the thing that you need to do. Because just because you can do it,
Right.
doesn't
Doesn't
mean you should be
Well, and
doing
that's
it.
one of the things is none of us can do everything on our list by ourselves. We can't.
Yeah.
We have to outsource. But that goes back to knowing your strengths. And that's controllable. It's controllable to know kind of, all right, this is what I'm good at. Like, I'm not good at and I'm very good at strategy. I'm good at visioning. I'm good at implementation. I'm not good at the tedious task. Like, people will ask me, well, even like with the podcast, people ask me all the time, like, how do you do all this? I'm like, I don't know. I just show up and talk and this, but that's why Isaac knows how to push the buttons and upload. I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
Lord, it would take me, they'd be uploaded 8 years from now. I don't think I'd ever get anything done.
Yeah.
But it's knowing what you're good. I'm not good at the technical. I'm good at the relationship. I'm good at the strategy. But it's kind of knowing that's 100% controllable. So many times I'll see people and I've pushed back on you. I push back on all my clients with this. They waste time on things that they aren't good at or that they don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And it keeps them. Sometimes all the time it keeps them from what they could be accomplishing. Sometimes it's a distraction because it keeps them away from what they're scared to do. So a lot of times
good,
when I'm finding things, what they're trying to control a lot of pieces because they're scared to take another step forward. So my goal is to figure out where we need to move and kind of push them that way.
Yeah.
But to do that, we have to make sure that they're not trying to do everything all by themselves. Yeah, and it could be anything. Like it could be outsourcing your laundry or cleaning your house. I mean, I have tons of people that actually that's what I need to outsource most is the personal stuff. If somebody could clean my house and do my laundry, I can execute on the business things.
Yeah.
Except for the paperwork and all that stuff. So what are you, Whitney, if you're thinking of all these things, what do you think you're doing that relating to what you control and what you can't control that holds you back? And it doesn't even have to be you. What do you think most people are doing?
The key thing that they're doing that holds them back overall.
Yep.
I want to tie this. I feel a lot of it ties into listening to the naysayers.
Okay.
And assuming how things are going to turn out.
Okay.
Typically how we make preparations is how we assume something's going to go.
Yep.
And then when it doesn't go that way,
Yep.
all of our preparations were for naught because we didn't consider both sides of the road.
So that's basically 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, so because nothing went the way we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And here's what's interesting, and I think that's a good point, because we haven't had many things that we can control, right, this year. And to the extent that we get stuck there, that's what's been killing people. Like my clients right now, my coaching clients that I work with that are up, that are doing well, that are having good years, are the ones that they shifted. I mean, I hate to use the word pivot because it's so overused right now, but they pivoted. Is what happened is the people's that businesses grew this year were the ones that said, okay, can't control that anymore. I've got to move here. So if we can't control it, you've got to shift and do something different.
Can't wait for it to pass. Everyone was
Nope.
like waiting for it to pass.
Right.
And then 1 month turned into 2 months.
And I think that's okay. Like, and it was fine at the beginning. Like the first several weeks, people were just frozen.
Yeah.
And that was normal because this is unprecedented. But my theory is, if you are still frozen and we are 8 months in, or however many months, 7 months into this, that is a choice. And I totally get the fact that people, because I do have friends, especially in the entertainment industry and in the live events industry, that cannot find jobs. You know, one of my photographer friends was posting the other day. She's like, I've applied everywhere. I've applied at Lowe's and Home Depot, and I truly can't find a job. But she's controlling the fact that she's looking. She's controlling the fact that she's busting her booty to try to find something.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by controlling the controllables. It's not sitting on your butt and just going, up, it's happening to me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of us can make things happen. May not happen on our time frame or the way we want, but there's a lot more we can control than that we can't.
Yeah.
We just have to focus on what those are.
Yeah.
So, Miss Whitney, I love your little smile. We won't ask you when you're having kids or anything. So,
Okay,
like
thanks.
as we're going forward and thinking about this, I call it self-sabotage, and we talked about that a lot in the book, because I feel like controlling the controllables is basically looking at how am I playing into my outcome? Like, what am I doing that's kind of poking holes in it, that's sabotaging myself?
Yeah.
So I think first and foremost, for everybody listening, we got to take a look at what you can control. Make a list of what you can control. But the biggest thing I would say is, if you can't control it, let it go. Quit spending time on it. Don't spend more than 5 seconds, 5 minutes. You know, and there's a I don't know who I heard this from, but it was the 5-5-5 rule. It was 5 minutes, 5 months, 5 years, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Is to think about something that you're really obsessed over, or that you've got all this time you're spending thinking about.
Yeah.
And ask yourself, what effect is this going to have on me in 5 minutes, 5 months, and 5 years?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay? If 5 minutes from now it's not going to matter, it shouldn't matter. Like, you should not spend a second thinking about it. So obsessing over what you're going to have for lunch, or, you know, should I go to this restaurant or this restaurant? In the grand scheme of things, 5 minutes from now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
5 months that's a little middle tier, right? So in 5 months from now, how is this going to affect?
Yeah.
The things you need to spend the most time on and be more thoughtful about are the ones that are going to affect you 5 years from now. You know, what if it's going to have a long range, like, you know, starting a business, having a child, getting married, getting divorced, whatever it is, that's a longer term, so that you can spend time thinking about. But again, once you figure the impact it's going to have, it's how much time am I going to spend on it? Like, what can I control in this? If you can't control it, let it go.
Yeah, Sil said, amen to let it go. And
We could start singing that. I guess that's not Let It Go from Frozen.
No, not the Frozen song.
I know. I can't sing, so I will not put any of you guys
The
through
Frozen song. You know what else came to my mind, though, as we were going through this, is you just celebrated your birthday. It's a very
I did.
big
I'm
birthday.
still celebrating my
Still
birthday. I
celebrating.
decided I'm celebrating it for the next year.
That's perfect. I love that.
I've declared it.
So my 33-year-old birthday is coming up in December. And on the stuff that you have to let it go on, I look at it as Me and Jesus, we made it this far.
Yep.
Feats don't fail me now. I mean, you've just
Totally fair.
you've made it this far. I'll make it 33 more, and then 33 more after that. What am I, 93 at that point?
That would be 99, but good math.
Okay, good, thanks.
Way to cipher. Learning math skills you can control. It is
Okay.
one of the controllables with me.
I'll be in my 90s, and I'll be fine.
That's okay. You don't have to add by then. You do not have to
Yeah,
control
that's
your
true.
math
Someone
skills
else will
in the
do that
90s.
for me. I'll ask the grandkids.
But it's true. I mean, yeah, we can't control, like,
Yeah.
we worry about, like, if I think back of all the things I worried about, I wish I would have had that 5-5-5 rule a long time ago, because most of what I worried about never happened.
Yeah.
Never happened.
Yep.
Like whether it was boys when I was younger or boys last week. I mean, really it could be either. But, whatever it is, like most of the things we're spending all of our time thinking about don't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
All the things you cry over and stress over and don't matter.
Yeah.
So set a time frame, control what you can control and let everything else go. Like, and I tell clients that all the time is, I need you to execute on these strategies. I need you to let go of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're so focused, I want you to have goals, but if you're so focused on this one little thing as opposed to what you're supposed to be doing, the action. Like, I want them to focus on the action, not the outcome. Because if they focus enough on the action, the outcome will come.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my clients are in sales. And if you focus on the relationship and what you're supposed to be doing, just doing the deal, as I call it, you'll hit the goals.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't. No one's that bad. I mean, if they're that bad, they're probably not in sales. We just got to keep them moving.
Nice.
I love it. All right. So Whitney, by the end of this year, we are going to focus on controlling the controllables.
Yes.
Not the end of the year, the end of this week. So if you guys are listening, like, I want this fixed now, because as we start going in, this is the month where we're talking about mindset. And, if we talk about the next couple episodes, we're focused September on mindset. And that's kind of where we're starting. And so we're going to dive into mindset a little bit more next week and kind of talk about positive talks. We talked about avoiding negative self-talks and controlling the controllables this week. Next week, we're going to talk about how to keep a positive mindset. And then at the end of the month, I'm super excited, very excited, because my friend Manon Rayom, who is a hockey player, she's the only female that has ever started a game in the NHL, like the boy NHL. Like, so she was with and she's
Nice.
literally like the cutest thing, and she's really teeny. She was a bad A, like, for sure, and she was a goalie. And so she's going to come in and join us on the 29th, and we're titling that one Get Used to It. Because one of the things she talks about with mindset is you've got to get used to the tough stuff. And it was a phrase her dad used to use with her a lot when she was training with the boys. It's like, you got to get used to it. So we're going to wrap up our mindset month, where I'm super excited with her being able to talk about the mental toughness part. So next week we'll dive in a little bit about the positive mindset, and then we'll talk about mental toughness. And then in October, we're talking about renewing your business. So this will be a good time as we're starting to think about planning. So we got a whole year of Renew set up for you. Marvelous Miss Mendoza and I will be here. So, all right, guys, until next week, focus on controlling the controllables, control what you can control, and let go of everything else. So have a fantastic week, and we will be back with you next Tuesday to renew the mindset a little bit more. Have a great week.